What is going on, everybody? And welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. If you're looking for stock market analysis, I do technicals and fundamentals, and that's essentially how I trade options and equity. So, being said, the day in itself, it's been interesting. It's very flat today for the most part. I was actually picking up a couple positions today. Um, Actually, I just sold my wing position as well. That's something, if you don't follow me on Twitter as well, you can follow me at Beta Memoirs. But I did post charts yesterday on that, and wing actually took off today. I had that gap up. We had a gap up on a lot of stuff overnight and started running. Facebook actually recovered today too. But the biggest thing and what we're waiting for is the core CPI. We got FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So we got the core CPI at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in the morning. So we're going to get that before opening. We're also going to get JPM earnings in the morning as well, which I think is another big thing we're waiting on, is to see how the banks are doing. Once we get the core CPI and the banks, we could just start running from that point. The Fed and Powell and everybody's pretty much reiterated. We know there's tapering. Everybody's well aware of the fact that we're tapering. I think people are making it more of a bigger thing than it actually is as far as tapering, because it's been essentially telegraphed for the past 2 months that it was coming at some point. Now we know it's more towards November. More Fed members came out again and said today, and started talking about it as well. So being said, that's what we're looking for in the morning. I think once we get that, if we hit equal, if we are hitting expected inflation numbers, or we come below that, I think we will run from that point and start getting into earnings mode. If for some reason inflation is extremely high, above estimated, I think we can sell a little bit, but I think it will be short-lived unless it's some extraordinary number. Even still, I think it's just going to be a short-lived dip because we do have earnings right behind that. But one of the things that did happen towards the end of the day is Apple got news. It's right on the last minute. It came out last minute that they were cutting production. I don't recall exactly how much. 10 million fewer plan to produce 90 phones, now expected to produce around 80. Yeah, so about 10 million phones they're not going to make coming in this next quarter. That came out right at the last minute and then dumped, but right into the support. And I've been watching this since close. There's been a lot of buying at the 140 mark, so it's actually going to be quite entertaining tomorrow. If we do reverse and we start pushing back up, looks like someone was trying to get a good entry if we do start pushing up tomorrow. Aside from that, they've already talked about the chip shortage and stuff, and that they were going to stop producing. I don't believe it's actually really that news. I think number specific came out today. I do believe they were talking about their production numbers weren't going to be as high because of chip shortages. But the demand is still there. I mean, it's Apple, so nonetheless, we'll definitely have to see how much this plays in the market. I think this is probably just going to wick right out of here. Again, there's been a lot of buyers here at the 140 mark, so we'll see what happens tomorrow, especially if we get those the numbers that we're looking for. But SPY in itself, I mean, it's been holding this this wedge here. So being said, yeah, the weaker side of the wedge is on the bottom side. So we could sell off, but I'm really not expecting that. I think there is no real true reason. Inflation tapering, yes, we're all well aware of that. But I don't think it's going to make that big of a move. We've been selling off for a while, and I mean, we don't really have a true reason to start pushing up either, aside from the buy the dip that everybody is essentially going with. So being said, even in the tapering, that's all debatable on what they're going to do, and it's going to be really limited, even the tapering they're doing. So it's not like it's going to make that big of an impact. I think a lot of people don't know how much of an impact it's really going to have. I don't think it's going to be that much. It's, again, been well televised that it's not tapering just needs to start, and it needs to start this year. So we'll need to see. Again, there's still just so much in play. That's why it's kind of been pushed off until November, because then you probably you start seeing some of the numbers for like holiday sales and everything like that, because they want people to start buying early because of the fact of supply issues. So maybe that's why it's been everything, the debt ceiling and everything else has been pushed off towards the end of or beginning of December for the debt ceiling stuff. And then you got the FOMC meeting in November. And so I think everything has been pushed to that point to kind of give it a little bit more time to see where inflation really is at, to see if it really is transitory. Give it another month, kind of, let all that summer travel and all that stuff die down. People are still taking, once we see the earnings, essentially that's what's going to happen is we're going to see the earnings and see how much, and really see how much inflation is really affecting the market. And I think that's what everybody's really kind of waiting on. So the banks and stuff will be important starting tomorrow. And then going into next week with Netflix and Tesla and Snap. So as far as on watch, Tesla has some juice. This is one thing I don't like about Tesla. Ever since it's joined the S&P, a lot of the moves it makes, it takes forever to break these resistances, and then when it breaks, it just has absolutely no gas, and it goes just a couple points and then sells off. So that's one thing the characteristics I've definitely noticed about Tesla, where before if it broke, it would run 30, 40 points, but we're just not seeing that kind of Tesla. Again, there's a lot going on too. This normalization and everything with inflation has normalized a lot of stuff. So even mid caps haven't gotten anywhere near the numbers that they were going since February. So we get Tesla one on watch. Again, earnings next Wednesday. I want to keep this and see if this actually holds. It's actually hitting support right now. So if we do take off tomorrow, I can see this turning up and starting to run. Again, big inflation. Tesla really gets affected by inflation. It sells off way quicker than it pushes up. Google and Facebook got some news today. I believe it was about ads. So Google just completely dumped out of the gates. Again, everything held. Facebook actually came back really well towards the end of the day, back to the 200. So this is good to see that it's holding this. Again, most of these are at the end of the month, and some going into the first week of November. So we'll have to see. Square, again, everything pushed up nicely overnight. If this actually comes down here, the 200 to 231 mark, and we hold tomorrow, so if for some reason inflation is crazy and we do push down a little bit and hold, I think I'll probably take a position on this as well going into earnings. I think, this major correction everybody is talking about is not going to happen this year. I think everything is going to be delayed. And then I think next year there will be a bigger correction again around that February, March time period. After that earnings, that Q4 earnings. And then after that, then I think we'll see a bigger correction at that point because then we start really talking about actually rate adjustments and everything. Again, still up in the air, still that can still be kicked down the road. It really just depends on how everything does. Again, how earnings do, more so in quarter four, I think will determine kind of where we're sitting at. So Roblox actually took this position again today. It was holding really well. So I decided to finally get back in this. This is going to be for a longer swing. It's not a lot of the positions I took overnight aren't big positions because of the fact that if there is a correction, I can kind of perhaps average down on some of these. I don't think, again, there's not going to be any crash tomorrow, in my opinion. Again, if inflation is where everybody expected, maybe they'll be like, oh yeah, well, it's where we expected it, and we still run. I mean, I don't know. I think there's more bullish sentiment going into tomorrow than actually anything bad, again, in my opinion, but we'll have to see. It's always a 50-50 chance. It's always just good in my opinion. So I've been saying that a lot, but to have some kind of thesis on what you think is going to happen or a couple different scenarios is always good to have. Snap holding, let me see. Amazon, I don't like that. It's still been holding below the 200 again. It took forever to break up, and then now it's just holding pattern. Again, this could be a higher low. just depending if it holds and all the inflation stuff, we could start pushing up. Shop had a nice little break of the wedge. It looked like it wanted to go today, but again, everything is just in holding pattern. It's waiting for tomorrow to really catch a gauge on inflation. SE had a huge day today. Pulled back though. We'll have to see again tomorrow. There's some continuations. UPST had a monster day today. Wedge break today and then popped. Looking for a pullback on that. Affirm, it's still holding. This is one thing I hate about this market is there's been so many wicks. So you definitely have to either take longer positions in options, or like what I've been doing. If I play weeklies, I play it in that first two hourly candles, and then after that, it's either longer term contracts or shares from that point, because volatility just gets really bad after that point. Again, we got JPM tomorrow in the morning, so we'll see how that goes. I did, and Net is also one too. Net has been on a roll lately with that upgrade not long ago. JPM towards the close, it looks like it's holding solid. I was just waiting to see what happens. Again, I could see this popping up. I think the banks will do well. I think the market will be fine, and we'll start pushing back up tomorrow. Again, always a 50-50 chance. And you have to be adjustable. That's why I don't like to give wish or watch list too much, because of the fact that it could completely change by the morning, and you have to adjust a lot on the fly. Let me see here. Moderna, I did take a shares position in this. I do really like that it's basing. This is one of my favorite patterns, which I'll make a video on this too. But the fact that it's been basing around here and it's been sitting consolidating for a long time. They did get news about booster shots as well. So something, I think this can actually start popping back up pretty quickly if the market starts turning. A lot of these have been kind of sitting at like this is pretty close to the 200. Again, it's not always going to touch the 200. Sometimes it just comes pretty close, and then it starts ripping back up. So I'm looking for a reversal on this. So that's one to watch. I did take a position in Clove. I do really like this. I like the consolidation around here. I think this one can also run. DKNG, I really like the consolidation on this as well. I've just been waiting on this. I don't want to put too much at risk. I wanted to get more confirmation. Katos, this is also the defense. I've been watching this one. It's pushing out to try to reach all the way to the end of the wedge here, so we might consolidate even more. Looking more for that 22 mark for entry on that one. Planet 13, this is one I haven't played in a while. Ever since the February, it's just kind of been dormant and hasn't really done much since. But Planet 13, I do really like. It's been consolidating here. So I might actually take a longer term swing here going into the new year as well. BYND I missed. The other day I tried to capture it here, but that wick didn't come down quite far enough. So nonetheless, again, if we do get a sell-off and this does come back down to that 100 mark, I'll be looking into getting that as well. But I don't want to make this video too long. That's pretty much what I got. Again, we're all just waiting to see what happens with the core inflation tomorrow. And JPM is going to make a big difference if they crush it. That would be a positive sign, I think. Let's see where we go from there. So remember to manage risk. Remember to hit that like button before you head out, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Till next time, guys, I'll see you later.